All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Late Night on Base. I'm your friend, your host, your confidant with the white suit and stubble for days. Late Night on Base. I'm your friend, Bill the Bull. Happy Monday, everybody. We are going to start the show a little early today. We typically don't ever do that. We normally start 2 hours in advance. But when you have some guests that I have on today, you roll out the red carpet. You feel me, guys? You roll out the red carpet. We got to at least get 2,000 plus people on the stream today. We averaged that. Do not disappoint me. Even though we're starting earlier, we need 2,000, baby. Come on. Otherwise, I'm considered a failure in my mom's eyes. I do not want to be a failure in my mom's eyes. I have the pleasure of getting Phil and Dom from the Easy A ecosystem up. We're going to call them up in 2 seconds. Guys, if you've been following my show, I like these guys. I like this ecosystem. They haven't paid me anything. They don't tell me to show anything. I just like it. I love it. When I first started looking into this ecosystem, see, here's the thing. Oh, and by the way, shout out to the Black Bull Ansem. They're not sponsoring the show yet. I need a sponsor for this month. Again, shout out to the supporting sponsors, Banker and BV7X. Banker's the infrastructure for AI agents on base, and BV7X is prediction markets with agents. Their consensus is your alpha. Check them out today. But presenting sponsors, I was like, Ansem's pretty good. He's throwing money around. Why not maybe do an episode with some great guests? Maybe he'll like it. Hey, Ansem, brother, look how nice it looks. Every episode, 20 episodes a month. Ansem. All right, anyways. I've been telling a lot of people Solana has always had culture. It's always had culture. It's always had the degen energy, the traders, but it was pretty much meme coins. That's pretty much how it's always been. The theory behind everything, and anyone can disagree, but I think you're wrong, has always been Solana is a place where the casino is, but no serious project builds on Solana. That has been the consensus for many years. And people will go to Base, people will go to Avalanche, people go whatever. And I believed that. I was just like, okay, memes, Solana, AI infrastructure, tech agents, everywhere else. But that changed. And that changed with the Easy ecosystem because I started looking at the type of, I was looking specifically for a platform that wants to attract the top-notch builders of the world. Because Base, for instance, has a great community of builders. Some of the best builders on Base. I like Base. I started off on Base. We're a multi-chain show. But they don't have culture, man. They don't have that energy. And then I saw Easy kickstart's ecosystem, and I was just like, aha. You got people from Harvard. And then you start looking into the Easy ecosystem prior to this on-chain thing, which I'm going to get into with Phil and Dom. $25+ billion value, like companies I think they've given out. One of their companies that they incubated with a hackathon, I think, is raised. What are they valued at? Like 20 billion? I don't even know. Some incredible number. We'll get into that. And they're now bringing it on chain, and all the serious builders are coming on Solana, and it's on Easy. And I'm betting big on some of their projects personally. And nothing I say is financial advice, but I'm a fan. And now forget about what I'm saying. Actually, don't forget it. But I need to bring up some legends. Let's bring up Phil and Dom. How are we doing today, sirs?
Very well. It's a very exciting start to a very exciting week. Thank you very much for having us on the show and rolling out the red carpet, Bill.
Definitely. No, love what you do. Amazing show. One of the best probably in the space. And yeah, very happy to be here to talk more about EZA.
It's an honor to have you guys on. First of all, how do you guys sleep? You guys are traveling all around the world to different places. I just see you guys. I see, you're in like all around the world, Europe. Do you guys sleep at all? Honestly.
Very little. Very little.
It's exciting.
We always say to our builders, we say to our builders in our community as well, that sleep is permitted, but not encouraged.
I love it. All right. So let's talk EZA. And let's talk about the origins, because especially for even people on Solana, it's a new paradigm. People outside of Solana had no idea what you're doing, myself included, until recently. Talk to us about EZA. Let's forget about the on-chain component, which we'll get into. How did EZA evolve from the beginning?
A great question. We actually first started in neither the Base ecosystem nor the Solana ecosystem. I started my journey in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so this was in 2013, and I stumbled across the Bitcoin white paper, and I heard about this form of peer-to-peer electronic cash and was just fascinated by it, went down the rabbit hole, started hooking up all these machines and started mining the stuff. So mining Bitcoin, Litecoin, Feathercoin, Primecoin. 2013 was the year of like all these different crazy alts of different people building different forks of Bitcoin. And that was my start in the space. I ended up being very fortunate as well to then learn about smart contracts in 2016. I won scholarship to Cambridge University, where I did my undergrad. Another engineering friend of mine said, hey, there's this Ethereum thing, allows you to do smart contracts. And then that was how I originally started learning about these programmable systems. Dom did his undergrad at Wharton at UPenn, and then went out and worked in Blackstone, Goldman. And so, you know, he was in TradFi. I then ended up becoming an attorney. And then we came back in really around 2022, which was just coming out of COVID. And again, started building because all of our friends were like, hey, guys, you've got to come back. We've got all this amazing tech. And it's not like it was a couple of years ago. It is like you can actually build on it now. And so 2022 was when we properly got started working together with different ecosystems. And towards the end of 2022 is when we first connected properly with some folks over at the Solana Foundation. And they were like, hey, guys, start getting people building on Solana. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting time. We've been in the space for a long time now. Been actually within the Solana ecosystem since 2022, if anybody from back then is still around. But yeah, it's been quite a journey.
And talk to me about your experience, Dom, coming in back. You know, you have experience in Wharton. Actually, my brother went to Wharton too. But now that you're like it's a shift, right? Going from that side of the world to now embracing this crazy industry we call blockchain. How is the jump? Did you also do in 2022 with your brother to be like, all right, this is now how we're going?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, you know, finance as it currently is, TradFi at least, is a very different industry to the whole blockchain, crypto, and even AI space. It's very established. People have been doing it for, 30 plus years in the current form as it is. And, I think it's a great place to be. But of course, there are much more exciting and more innovative places to be. And that's ultimately why we decided to go full time into the blockchain space and really launch EZA. There are so many smart people in the world. So many smart people with cool ideas, with cool projects. Even back when we were at Phil was at Cambridge, I was at Wharton. There were so many people who had an idea and they wanted to launch it, get an initial reaction from the market and get that initial funding for their idea. But it's very hard to do that. Everyone has those ideas, but then taking that first step and actually approaching VCs, approaching people to try and raise money for it, that's a whole process, and it's very inaccessible for most people, especially if you're not at one of the top institutions academically, to just go out there and try to convince someone to give you their money. And so ultimately, that's why we came together to found EZA Kickstart, really to give anyone the power to actually launch their idea, get that initial backing from the community, and really build it out and actually start from zero and end up a hero, so to speak. And we've seen it with CapX, and we've seen it with so many other projects on Kickstart already. Just a couple of weeks into their launches, they're already valued at multi-millions, and the devs are doing extremely well for themselves with creator fees, and ultimately the community who's backed them from the early days is doing really well too. So it's really a win-win, and of course they're advancing the whole ecosystem and whole space more generally as well. So yeah, it's very exciting, very different, of course, to what's possible in TradFi, but we really believe this is where the future lies, and this ultimately is how the next 20, 30 years are going to get built. It's about encouraging people to actually get their ideas out there, get funded, be able to build something, launch it from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that on-chain piece because, like I said, the accessibility is now we're in a new shift where it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter where in the world you live, doesn't matter the connections. You can now raise capital in a way like never before. But one of the interesting things that I was fascinated about you guys when I started researching is you didn't just come up with an idea and just hope and spray it coming on chain. You guys actually have proof that your model works in the non-on-chain world. One of the things that really caught my eye, and let's take a look at this on the website. First thing people see when they come to the EZA, and again, if this episode will be on Spotify, if you guys are watching on Spotify, head over to YouTube or X, and we will show you some live streams. So one of the things that really struck me, the next great founders will start here. It all begins with an idea. Easy Gigabrains have gone from just having an idea to changing the world. So you guys have created hackathons that have led to insane valuations from some non-crypto companies. The first being Cognition AI, 26 billion, Listen Labs, 500 million. So talk to me about how that started. Like, what was was this like Cognition? I was reading the story in Harvard. Was this the first hackathon you guys did?
Great question. Not the first hackathon, but one of the early ones that we hosted. It was the fall of 2022, and we worked out this place called the Soch over at Harvard, which is on campus, and it was a 3-day hackathon that we hosted. The Friday afternoon, we hosted just a nice little get-together, and the next day was when things really got started. Walden Yan, one of the co-founders of Cognition, rocks up. We don't really hear much from him. He's just coding away in the corner. Sunday comes around, and he pitches. That's him pitching, literally at Harvard, actually, on that first slide. And he pitches the most spectacular idea, which is a decentralized DALL-E built on the blockchain. So DALL-E was like the image generation model at the time that was really, really hot. And he was looking at ways to decentralize that. And we saw him, and he just absolutely blew us away. We gave him top prize there, came along to the next hackathon, continued building. And in total, we gave him about $15,000, ended up dropping out of Harvard. He's got the craziest story where he drops out of Harvard, moves to Silicon Valley, doesn't tell his mom because, of course, he's Asian. His Asian mom is not going to be happy if he drops out of Harvard. And he's sitting there in this interview. He's about to announce that he's raised at a $1 billion valuation. And he tells the interviewer, look, I know this is pretty cool and this is going to sound crazy, but please do not tell my mom yet that don't announce, because I haven't told my mom I've dropped out. And then he texts his mom and he's like, Mom, look, I've dropped out of Harvard, but I've raised at a $1 billion valuation. And his mom's first response, guess what it is?
Are you going to finish school?
Exactly. When are you going back to Harvard? She's like, doesn't even say congrats on the raise. Well done. She's just like, when are you going back to Harvard? But anyway, just one of a number of very, very incredible people. And ultimately, as we say on the website, it's the most spectacular founders who are coming to build with EZA. And that's ultimately the ecosystem we built.
That's incredible. So then you have all these other success stories where this just, I guess, different hackathons and the people you funded prior, I guess, in addition to Cognition.
Yep. Yeah. So these are all, for example, like Axel, you mentioned, like there's a lot of AI startups. Of course, AI has been super hot. Ash over there, just on the far left-hand side, he is building a startup called Axel. Incredible guy, raised from A16Z crypto, and is just crushing it. Mintstars, also crypto, same as RampMe. So all of those are crypto ones that you've got on that slide actually right there. So some incredible people.
Amazing.
Yeah, and what you'll notice about all of these, and typically all of the hot AI companies out there, even blockchain ones in many cases over the last couple of years, only the top VCs could really invest in them. And a very few select lucky angels could back them from the early days. So, maybe co-founders of like other big blockchains, but never really actually the regular person. And that's really what we're doing with Kickstart, is allowing people to actually back them from the very early days. And then the VCs come in afterwards. So we're already seeing that with some of the projects. We can't really mention the names yet, but they've got so much attention from having launched on Kickstart. They've got into the right mind shares. And ultimately, now they're raising from investors. So they're doing it the other way around, where retail actually got in before the investors. So really cool to see that.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's talk about the EZA Kickstart component, the one that we're all familiar with, who are in this crypto world. First question then. So you guys saw the success of what happens when you do these hackathons, and obviously success stories from these founders. But like I said, in the traditional world, you got to know the right people. You got to be at a Harvard school. You got Silicon Valley has to know who you are, whatever. You have to have connections. You can't just be some random builder. Now on chain changes the game. Is it safe to assume that this model proved that there can be, that you basically prove to yourselves that if you do this same model, but put it on chain, you would have greater success? Was that kind of like your idea coming on chain?
Really, really good question. It's something we thought about for a long, long time, because like you said, we started this really in 2022 and built it the flip side. As you said earlier, we didn't just start with an idea for a launch pad and just try and throw it out there, see what stuck. We actually built it the other way around, which is very, very unusual, but ended up being, of course, one of the hallmarks of our success, which is we built the founder funnel first, which is what most of these launchpads struggle with. It's why there are so many LARPs that launch, so many weird things that launch, because they're just like, there aren't enough. And so it's the same guys rinsing and repeating the whole time. And so when we took it, we were like, actually, we took it from a first principles based approach. We knew that the technology was there, but we never thought, oh, let's just launch a launchpad for the sake of it. Our idea and the genesis behind this was, how can we actually scale what we're doing throughout the world? We can't just scale hosting at one hackathon every month. I mean, we were like flat out hackathon, sometimes even like a hackathon every week at some points. And it's like, even with that, we're doing them at Harvard, we're doing them at San Francisco, London, Cambridge, Hong Kong, Singapore. How can we do that so that there could be people wherever they were in the world, if they were smart and they were hungry, actually launching? And the Launchpad with the technology enabled us to do that. And of course, creator fees are one way that we can really do that at scale, as opposed to having to necessarily just hand select a couple of people to get those grants. The market can help us as well. And so we have an amazing community of people who are looking at founders, looking at the projects as well, and helping to really bring this to scale. So in short answer to your question, it's about getting scale.
Getting scale. Shout out to the 1,600 plus people tuning in live late night on base with the Easy A founders, Phil and Dom. We need at least 2K, guys. Please do not disappoint me. I also have an Asian mother. I'm of Indian descent. She would be very disappointed. I actually come from a legal background as well. The traditional.
Amazing. Yeah.
I also did that.
If you're one of the 1,600 watching right now.
Yeah, she better. I mean, please. She wants 2K an episode because she was just like, you don't want to be a lawyer anymore? I'm like, no, I just want to be this media guy. So it's like, oh my God. Long story. But okay, so we're live. Now, let me ask you this, because I feel this is an interesting dilemma, right? On the one hand, coming on chain as a founder, having a token, instant liquidity, you have access to global markets. Now there's this token aspect. But then you have people who have a different thought process, thinking like, you should never have a token. It should only be equity based, going for VC founders. It muddies the water. Do you have any, I guess, opinion on that? Do you think if you raise, if you have a token, will that necessarily discourage the traditional venture capitalists to invest in an equity based portion? Does it muddy the waters? Is it not a big deal? What are your thoughts?
Very, very good question. It's something I think about a lot, because, and really just taking a step back for a second, OpenAI and Anthropic have tokens, but nobody ever bats an eyelid. They have tons of tokens. Nobody says anything about it. Nobody has a problem with it. It's really about what the nature of the token is and what do people do with it. The reason that tokens have got such a bad rep and they have become so stigmatized is because of what people have used them to do, which is primarily as a form of extraction. And so a lot of projects have done that. A lot of people have launched tokens and just used them to extract. And so they've rightly got a very bad reputation. But if you look at Anthropic and OpenAI, does anybody point at their tokens and say, look, actually, please stop this token thing. It's so stupid. No, they're like, give me more. I want a token max. And I think that's something that's very interesting. Maybe we'll bring back token maxing to crypto, right? People will be like, give me more of these things. And I think that ultimately it just comes back to, what are you actually building? Like, are you building something that's real? Is this a token which fundamentally serves for something that's more than just extraction? And that's really what we're trying to bring back to crypto. I made a tweet the other day that I really want to bring back this golden age when I'm not sure if many people watching this remember what it was like in 2013, but the idea was we're building something much bigger than just the next coin. Even those different forks, I mean, you look at Litecoin, for example, Primecoin, I fell in love with these ideas because they represented something that was bigger than just the next way to become rich. I mean, obviously, I think that was part of it for many people, and Satoshi himself would be no stranger to the idea that you need to have economic incentives alignment there. But I think that ultimately, really what it comes down to is, do we have something which is actually going to be useful? Is it something that serves for something beyond just extraction, whether that's utility, whether that is some form of, even if it is just some form of representing that they believe in the founder? I think that this is what we're trying to change. And ultimately, like, that's what these tokens are for. I don't think that they are, that they should be stigmatized. I think that's something that we need to break down. And I think that even we look at the difference in the terminology. Before we used to call them coins, right? Like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Primecoin, Feathercoin. Now they changed name to tokens. I think that it's just because there's been a lot of stigma associated with these things. So I think that we're going to see a return to tokens as just being, look, maybe hopefully becoming more of a neutral word and just seeing what is the founder and what's the purpose of these actual tokens.
Yeah, from a founder's point of view, I think having a token is incredibly important, actually, especially in a saturated market where distribution is now the name of the game. AI is one aspect of making building less of the difficult part. It's actually getting your product in the eyes and attention out in the world, whether it's through media, whatever the case is. The token is a value driver. The token is something that allows, first of all, figure out product market fit pretty fast so you don't waste your time. Second of all, now you have a token because now you have aligned incentives with people all around the world who are now actually caring about what you're building because they have incentives. And that's why, to me, it's a no-brainer. All right. So now, Dom, let me ask you this. You guys come on chain. You guys decide to be on Solana. Two questions for you. Why choose Solana to launch EZA Kickstart? And number two, talk to me about the criteria of what you guys are looking for in teams to launch, because you guys don't verify everybody. What are some of the criteria for you guys to be like, hey, listen, even though anyone can launch, to get the verification, we're looking for this?
Yeah, two great questions. The first, why Solana for this launch? Well, we wanted to go where the liquidity is and where the traders and where the retail really are transacting on chain, and that's Solana primarily. So, of course, we work with a bunch of different blockchains, all on different things, and we choose which blockchain is the best for each particular thing that we do. So that's why we chose Solana for this. In terms of verification, so far we're verifying teams that we met in person. And ultimately, for us, that's a very important thing because we want to make sure that we know exactly what the long-term goals are. We want to make sure we've met them. They're real people. As you know, in crypto and blockchain in generally, people are anon a lot of the time, and they launch projects, then they move on to the next one, then the next one. If you're doxed, and if you've met someone, it's very hard for them to do that, and very much less likely, of course, because if you're doxed, you can really only rug once. After that, if people know who you are, they're going to be very, very careful with the next project you do. So that really eliminates a lot of the rug risk, so to speak. Obviously, everyone needs to do their own research and do their own diligence. It's their money. They need to decide what to do with it and act wisely. But then in terms of generally what we look for in teams is we want to make sure that they are long-term focused. They have an outlook to actually grow the project beyond just launching a token. They have clear plans for why they're launching on Kickstart. They have clear goals in terms of where they're going, and ultimately they have a good track record. Either they've done things like this in the past in terms of entrepreneurship, they founded things, or they also work at a great tech company or have a good background academically. We have PhDs on Kickstart, for example, who've actually researched things and found novel ways to do new processes, and they're bringing it to the world for the first time on Kickstart. We also have engineers, for example, the CapEx dev, who actually works at Oracle, which obviously is one of the leading tech companies out there. Now they've launched on Kickstart, and they've got backing, huge amounts of backing, and we'll have even more backing soon. But essentially, they just proven themselves to be great operators at a high level. And those are the kind of people we want to attract to Kickstart. Obviously, it's permissionless. Anyone can launch. And people who launch and continue building will get our support eventually too. Obviously, we can't know all of the good builders in the world, and that's why it's permissionless. So anyone can go on there, anyone can tokenize their startup, anyone can launch. And we've had some projects who've really risen up the rankings in Kickstart and built up a community, kept shipping, kept building. We never met them before they launched, and they've thrived. They've done really well. So ultimately, it comes down to everyone who is looking to back these great founders. Have a look through the Kickstart page. There are tons of projects on there right now. And just because they're not verified doesn't mean you shouldn't back them. You should do your own research. And if you like what you see, get in touch with the founder, do your research, and you can be early to the next big thing. Because obviously, maybe there's a bit more risk, but also more return, as with everything in life.
Well, that's the case. The fortune favors the bold, as people say. A few more minutes live, late night on base with EZA founders Phil and Dom. Phil, let me ask you this: in terms of sectors, you're starting to see a heavy interest in compute. You have obviously CPX. Switchboard is kind of rising up. I think they're number 2 now. We have actually the Squire team on. They're not an easy ace project, but they're coming on in about a half hour. You're starting to see that's very much aligned with what the market wants. Compute. In your eyes, why is compute kind of capturing so much interest? And are there any other sectors personally that you are very optimistic on in the next 12 months?
Very good question. Compute, I think it's very, very exciting. I mean, I posted about this even before these projects were live and before we've seen this like very, very hot narrative pop up. And ultimately, compute I view as being one of the next big markets for what we're going to tokenize. Because if you look at stablecoins and what really happened there, stablecoins were a way for people to actually, so for governments to sell their debt. So that's the way that the US government right now has positioned itself and why it's so in favor of stablecoins. It's selling debt. If you look at what is happening in compute right now, you have these huge, huge neo labs, right? And so you have these neo clouds and these hyperscalers. And these neo clouds are ones like CoreWeave, for example. What they need is they need to build out data center capacity. But how do they get financing to do that? Well, right now they have actually exhausted the debt markets. And so a lot of these hyperscalers and neoclouds are now turning to the capital markets. We were just catching up with one of the guys over at JP Morgan who deals with this and is very close. And they've exhausted the debt markets. And it's a similar sort of position that government, or at least the US government was in. Who are we going to sell all this debt to? And so really, when you look at compute, I think that these labs, these clouds, these hyperscalers are going to start turning to how are we actually going to sell more of our debt to people. And ultimately, that debt then allows people to have an exposure to compute. And so if you look at a tokenized compute, you might have a tokenized H100. You might have one of these big data center providers or builders who then sells 1 unit of compute, let's say. That allows them then to hedge their risk as well. It's a hedging mechanism, but it allows other people to then get that upside. And it's a very, very interesting mechanism. So you have these, it's a natural market. And Larry Fink over at BlackRock has talked about this as well. You have one side of the equation that wants to hedge against the risk that compute price goes up. So for example, maybe you're a big AI lab, right? And you need a lot of compute. You need to hedge against the risk of it going up. You can then buy these tokens in advance. If you are one of these data centers, on the other hand, you want to hedge against the price going down. And so you have this incredible market. And I think that actually it being decentralized is one of the most beautiful things because these markets can move so much more quickly when it's decentralized. And ultimately, like we've seen with the growth of stablecoins, some of the most incredible growth that we've ever seen of any financial product ever happening with stablecoins. I think we're going to see a very similar thing with compute. I am so excited about seeing it. I think there's going to be a lot of experiments. I'm not saying that anybody has necessarily yet found the right solution, but I am just so excited about seeing this compute. A lot of our friends are just champing at the bit as well to get access to some of these hedging projects. We have some of the founders of the world's biggest exchanges just being like, look, this is the next frontier. This is the next market that's going to be absolutely massive.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. 2,889 people tuning in live late on base. I met my quota. Thank you, mother. If you're watching it, I have the founders of EZA. I have to make sure to make mama proud. Guys, any last words that you have, for the EZA ecosystem, investors or teams out there? Any last words?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I think I've got 2 different messages for our audience. One is if you're a founder and you're building something that's real, Kickstart is the best place for you to launch it. The support that you will get is unparalleled. I'll give you an example. Earlier, last week, we actually took 2 of the projects to the House of Lords in the UK. They're from the UK, and we wanted to connect them up with the highest people. We had literal members of parliament, the top people in government there that they were sitting right next to and chatting with. And the VC network we have is just insane. The other founders that they'll get to meet are insane. If it's from a backer perspective as well, a big part of the community that we want to build is really people who are supporting these builders. And so if you're excited about supporting builds, helping them get to that next level, we're excited to see you in the community. We have a green room chat, which people can join, and ultimately go ahead and follow EZA_Kickstart, and you can join this very, very special community, which we're just growing. And really, we're going to change the way that crypto works and the perception as well of tokens overall. And that's how we're going to be able to bring in all the normies beyond just this crypto bubble.
I love it. And any last words for you, Dom?
Yeah, just to echo what Phil said. I mean, I think in addition, we're always looking for amazing new founders, long-term builders to join the Kickstart family. We have a ton of people who already messaged us about their launch, about moving from other launch pads as well onto Kickstart, and really take advantage of some of the support that we offer for the founders. So it might take a little bit of time to get back, but we're always open to connecting with new people, beginning the conversation, and making sure that we can support you if you're building something real and long-term, because that's really what we're building Kickstart into the home of. So feel free to reach out to Phil or myself at Phil_. Phil, what's your Twitter handle again?
Quark_Phil.
Quark_Phil, and my handle is Dom_Quark. So yeah, keep an eye out for us on X, and feel free to message us as well directly if you're watching this and want to launch on Kickstart.
I love it. Well, guys, listen, I'm very impressed by both of you, your pedigree, your demeanor, but I'm also impressed by the ecosystem and what it means. Like I said, Solana has been needing something like this where real builders can come, not just gamble on meme coins. I like meme coins. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. But real utility projects with tech, with real backing, with real people that I know I can sleep at night and not get rugged. Huge, huge. So I thank you guys for the opportunity.
Yeah, both can thrive. Both can thrive together.
Absolutely, absolutely. 100%. Memes drive attention. Memes have their own place. Look at Ansem. Ansem got to 200, 300 million. Ansem, if you're reading this, brother, sponsor the show, Late Night on Base. Massive attention. You get founders like Dom and Phil on. Anyways, but no, they absolutely can thrive together. And I think meme coin participants especially are looking for projects. They don't know they exist like what you guys offer. And I think like the CPXs of the world. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And guys, please use me as a resource. I want to feature teams that you think are needing to have the story. That's what I do here at Late Night on Base. And I'm just thankful for having you guys on. So thanks a lot. We'll have a few clips made for tomorrow. We'll share it with you guys. And let's make sure we keep the conversation going privately.
Amazing. Thank you for having us on the show. It's an amazing thing that you've got going here. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Phil.
All right,
see you
guys.
soon.
Thank you. All right, that is Dom and Phil from EZA. Man, excited for them, excited for what they're building. And yeah, I mean, I'm very focused on that ecosystem. I think it's massive hidden gems all around. So check it out. All right, well, let's see. We got the pods team up. Chris is going to come up in about 20 minutes. So until then, let's kind of look at what the hell is going on in this little market that we got going on. All right. So you guys heard. You guys absolutely heard. Compute is the name of the game. And I like it. Let's see. All right. Yeah. So anyways, let's just look at some things. And again, guys, nothing we say is financial advice on the show, yada, yada, yada. That should be pretty evident, but some people still don't know. Very funny. Not very funny. It's very interesting to me to see there are some people out there who say, oh, memes can't compete with, don't invest in memes, or no serious person gets in memes, only invest in utility, and vice versa. Don't invest in utility, only in memes. They both can coexist, guys. They absolutely can coexist. And I think, I'm looking forward to the time where, like I said, we live in an industry where it's attention. Attention is the name of the game. And memes drive attention straight up. I actually really do hope that there's a really good meme on Easy, a proper one. And I think if it does run, Easy will capture a lot of attention. People want to go where the attention is, and they both can coexist. I look forward to whenever Easy does something, because I think that whole ecosystem basically bring eyes into the ecosystem. Now, when you have eyes into the ecosystem, then they start exploring what's going on. It's a different population, different sector. Like I said, look at what the Black Bull is doing, Ansem. All right, so listen, we got 20 minutes. Let me let's see what else is going on. Let's see what the news of the day is. Let's see what my agent's saying. This agent. His name's Teddy. Kind of gives me advice as to what's going on. Oh yeah, Saylor. Let's see. I think Saylor news of the day. Let's see. Saylor just sold $260 million worth of Bitcoin. Saylor dumped 3,500 BTC last week at 60K per coin to fund preferred stock dividends. Their average buy price was 75,476. Damn. Buy low. It's supposed to be buy low, sell high, but in his case, it's sell low, buy high. Interesting. All right, let's look at some of the projects on Easy that seem pretty interesting to me. Let's see. Let's see. All right. So as it stands right now, CapEx is the most, I guess, the biggest project by market cap at 1.6 million, 122 volume. Switchboard's coming up next. They are at 375K with 181K volume. Notice, and then I know there's Praxis, 267K and 66 volume. These are projects that honestly would never have chosen Solana a year ago. You just wouldn't see this. I mean, you just wouldn't see this. And that's why I think EZA Kickstart is, in my opinion, the best place for asymmetric gains in the next 12 to 18 months. Personally. Because you have to understand, people don't want to invest in something where they feel they're just going to get rugged overnight. And listen, everything can happen. But if you have high quality, real individuals, doxed, pedigree, well put together, coming from great institutions, those are not the ones that are going to dox you. Rug you. I mean, I guess they could, but they're not the ones who you need to really worry about, if that makes sense. And it's nice knowing that you can sleep at night with whatever you're in. And I think AI in the next 12, 18 months are going to explode. I think the compute sector is absolutely massive. Like if you look at CapEx, we've had CapEx on the show. And they are a decentralized physical infrastructure establishing a liquid capacity exchange for raw bare metal GPU compute, distributed underutilized AI inference layers. Built on Solana CapEx, pairs with an intelligent multi-host routing engine to bypass traditional cloud hypervision overhead. The architecture dynamically intercepts live workloads, intelligently routing heavy code scripts to raw compute nodes. Okay, and you heard from Dom and Phil, compute is going to be the hot topic. And I think, again, nothing I say is financial wise. I think compute is where things are. So CapEx, no surprise that they're number one. Switchboard, it's a new one. Routing service that finds the cheapest routing model for every AI request you send. This one just came on my radar. I own a bag, and I'm interested in this one because I feel, again, they're tackling the exchange for compute, and I think that's a very bullish thing. Just check this one out. The inference exchange. One OpenAI compatible endpoint that auctions every request, reliable model, buyer save, sellers monetize, every request feed switch. Dev is doxed. We like that. Very interesting. Again, nothing I say is financial wise. I just think it's cool. But again, compute's the name of the game. On base, there's a couple projects that have done very well. The guy we're having on next, Squire, they're also in compute. And we'll get into that. And I think his project's like 5-6 million. I think it's one of the hotter projects on Solana. So it's very interesting to kind of see. So anyways, compute's the name of the game. All right. What else? Jarbo, what's going on? Let's go. EZA Kickstart. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about other things. Ansem is absolutely insane. This one is just literally crazy to me. It's like a whole new paradigm. You know, holders are going up 115,000. The price hasn't gone down. You have core conviction holders. I think, you know, Ansem's now tackling attention like never before. And as a joke, kind of, you know, I'm letting this episode be presented by the Black Bull. I think, well, hopefully he sponsors the show because you literally will now get featured on, you know, we're in a world where attention is the only thing that matters. Now, if you have more people talking about it, like instantly, people are now like, what is this Black Bull? Let's figure it out. Guys like Dom and Phil we start talking about it, it only exacerbates. So hopefully he sponsors the show. I don't know. That's the only way we make this show what it is. But I think with his account, 1.1 million, he's doxing it again. I think the fact is people want to bet on teams that they know who's behind. Less likely to rug. Could something happen with Black Bull? Sure, but Ansem's behind it. So it's a little bit more comfortable thinking you're going to sleep at night, knowing that things will be fine. There's a value there. There's absolutely value there. Ansem is very interesting. It's a very interesting proposition. It's already, what is that, 410 million? Whew. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me just... Absolutely crazy. We're watching like just it's a very fun time to be in the market right now. And if you notice, everything's happening on Solana, man. It's really crazy to see. I like base. You know, I think some of the best builders are on base, but they really do have an issue with getting the right people to care. And the liquidity's on Solana. It just is what it is. It really is what it is. Man, this thing is just getting dumped. So anyways, we'll be back, guys. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be tuning in with Squire in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's just we'll put this on the background and we'll be joining we'll come back in a few before Chris comes. Hang tight. All right. We are back. I think I see Chris on. Welcome to Late Night on Base. Shout out to the 3,500 people tuning in live. Right. Sometimes when there's a little gap in between guests, yeah, you have a little pause, have a little break, but we wanted to make sure we got Chris on today as well. I'm looking forward to talking Squire. And yeah, that's what we do. We make room for good guests. We make room for good guests. So without further ado, I think let's hold on a second. We got to show him some love. We got to show him some love. 1 second. All right. So yeah, basically, guys, the name of the topic today was inference. As Dom and Phil said, that is the sector he's most bullish on as well. And let's talk to maybe one of the guests who is taking Solana by storm. Absolutely. And without further ado, let's bring him Chris. Chris, my friend, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. We had a really good show on so far. We have 3,500 people. We had the EZA founders. Are you familiar with those guys?
I am. And in fact, I'm talking with them again tomorrow.
Oh, about business or
about a little bit of everything, but more details to come.
I like it. You guys hear this? I think there's some alpha there. There's some alpha. Anyways, welcome to the show, sir. 3,500 people tuning in. Late on base with Chris Gilbert from Squire. This episode is kind of presented by the Black Bull and some, not really, but trying to get his endorsement. Okay. So Phil and Dom basically were saying inference is the name of the game. Some of the smartest people are building it. You guys are on the front for it. So for those that might not be familiar, why don't we start from the basic? What exactly is Squire?
Yeah, so Squire itself is, it started off as a creator coin for an AI bot that I was running on Twitter. It got a huge amount of support, and I decided to start building AI tools. And eventually, I wanted to give back to my community members. I took the Squire token. I was looking at my AI inference bills. I was looking at my Venice DM holdings. And I said, I'd really like to be able to distribute some of these unused credits to my users, to my holders, my token holders. And so I took Squire. I created a little project called Level 5 Cloud. And if you're holding the Squire token, you can use it to buy an unlimited daily access to AI inference via Level 5. And that got me thinking, as I'm building this for myself, it got me thinking, if I want to sell my DM, if I want to resell my AI inference kind of more generically, maybe there's a lot of other people that want to do this as well. And that got the gears turning. What does a marketplace for AI inference look like? What does a two-sided marketplace for AI inference look like? And well, honestly, it looks like a drop-in replacement for OpenRouter for OpenAI compatible AI inference tools. It looks like something you can drop into your OpenClaw, into your Hermes agent, into Claude, into Codex, into Cursor, and swap it in, one-line change, and get access to a marketplace for AI inference where the people who are listing it, the people who are selling it, the suppliers of AI inference, are competing on price for your traffic. And so that's what I built. So that's the primary tool that's live right now. It's called UsePod. It's usepod.ai, and yeah, that's the system at a very high level.
What do you think? And let's actually look at this. Let's look at UsePod because it's very interesting to me. UsePod AI, the secure intelligence layer for the agentic web, a decentralized privacy-preserving AI inference marketplace native to Solana, hardware-enforced privacy via T enclaves, agent sovereign wallets, X402, MPP micropayments at machine speed. All right. Let's kind of circle back because one of the things we want to do on Late Night Base is also talk to the people who might not be that well versed in AI agents and the terminology now used. Maybe they're just starting to understand the significance. Why don't we start from a basic understanding? Because this also helps with investors make calculated decisions. Why is inference so important going forward? We have Dom and Phil said it. You're obviously building the infrastructure. Why is inference the name of the game, in your opinion?
Yeah, so AI inference is critically important if you're thinking about um, artificial general intelligence (AGI). If you're thinking about artificial superintelligence, you know, inference is the underlying technology that does those things. The capacity for intelligence is based on the compute capacity for executing inference. And so the smarter your model gets, the more knowledge your model has, the more inference you need at any given time in order to execute that model. So, you know, we're in the first innings of the AI revolution right now. You know, I've been an engineer for 26 years. I grew up during the dot-com boom. I lived and developed through the mobile revolution. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And, you know, I'm hearing a lot of iambic pentameter right now. Like, this is very, very similar to what you're seeing or what we saw during those two previous booms. I think we're in the midst of an AI revolution. And as those models get bigger, as they get smarter, as they get more ubiquitous, the need for AI compute and AI inference is going to grow exponentially.
What do you see the world like? From a, you know, obviously you're entrenched in this sector. Obviously the AI revolution's here, you're seeing it, but you haven't seen the full capabilities. What do you imagine life like, say, in the next 2 years? Is things drastically going to change?
I mean, I think software, you know, we went through this phase where software was eating the world. Every product became, or every business problem became a software problem, and then every business problem became a SaaS product. I think you're going to see the next step of that is every business problem is going to be an AI problem, and you're just going to get closer and closer to AI as you start solving problems. It'll be ubiquitous. It'll be transparent a lot of the time. You won't know that you're interacting with an AI agent some of the time, not only through like a user, like a chat interface, but even just like as you're clicking around buttons on a screen, you know, maybe menus are rearranging themselves to suit your liking, to help you find the things that you're finding that you need to find, to help you assist you in the things that you're doing. I think there's a like I said, we're in the early innings of this, and it's going to be huge. But what that looks like is up to the people who are building on it right now.
It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. Okay, so shout out to Penguin XBT. Let's go, Chris. Inference Capital Markets. Thanos. Inference Capital Markets. Yes, Inference Capital Markets with Chris. It's actually one of our supporting sponsors is BV7X, and they have nothing but great things to say about you. That's how I started just deciding, hey, I want you on. Shout out to them. So, Chris, now let's circle back to Squire, right? Because you're on Solana, and you got, like I said, we don't really focus on price on this show. We don't really care. But there's no denying that you've sustained an incredibly strong community. Price action is very healthy. What do you contribute? Because it's twofold. Actually, let's start with this. Solana typically has had a reputation as a degen trader casino for the meme coins. It's now changing, obviously. Projects like yours, EZA, Kickstart, all that. But for the longest time, the best builders like yourself chosen other chains like Base and all that. You chose Solana. Why?
Yeah, I mean, first off, shout out to BB7X and Misha. I had a great conversation with him this morning. Very excited about the work he's doing, and you know, bending over backwards to help him get an integration with UsePod off the ground. Yeah, so getting back to your question, why did I choose Solana? So there were technical reasons and there were user reasons. The technical reasons were pretty straightforward. I did the math. If you're looking at agentic compute and agentic finance, where agents are talking to each other, they're paying for services from each other, the numbers just work out better on Solana. The prices are cheaper when you're talking about the volume and the scale of transactions. And primarily what I'm talking about is transaction fees. Like if you're doing anything other than sending USDC back and forth, then Solana is the place to be for agentic commerce. So that's the first piece. It's purely a numbers game. The second side of that is the user experience. I mean, Base has come a long way, has done a lot for the EVM ecosystem when it comes to user experience. But I remember the first time I sat down with the Phantom wallet and started executing transactions on Solana. I was blown away. I mean, from my background, I started off with Bitcoin in 2010. And I don't know if you've ever sent a Bitcoin transaction, but it's like send it and then wait an hour. With Ethereum, much better, but you could be waiting 15 seconds, you could be waiting 45 seconds, you could be waiting a minute. Worst case scenario, at least early on. And Base has come a long way, but you still have a lot of the cruft, the kind of friction points. I have to approve a transaction and then submit a transaction. I have to sign a message that says I can spend, and then I have to initiate the transaction that does the spend. Right? All of that comes down to friction. And so the user experience for going from 0 to spending crypto or buying crypto on Solana is just, it is peak. And so that was the second piece here. Like, I've never built on Solana before professionally. I've built toy applications. I've deployed toy coins, but I've never launched a product on Solana, and I wanted to do that. And so, yeah, those were the two main components that went into me making the decision to launch this thing on Solana.
I think it is to say you do not regret that decision.
Do not, no.
What yeah, like I said, I think I wrote a tweet about this earlier. Like I said, late night on Base, I started my show 2 years ago, obviously on Base. Now we've expanded multi-chain. We're not just on Base, we talk Solana, AVAX, whatever. It doesn't even have to be crypto. In my humble opinion, Solana is just a better chain overall right now than Base for a lot of reasons. And I think a lot of it has to do is obviously the culture, but the missing piece always was the real builders who never wanted to come on Solana. It was just meme coin trenchers. That has completely changed. And your project, in all honesty, I know you did a show a couple weeks back, and it was remarkable to see this was my first interaction of even knowing a builder of your capacity building. I was like, what the hell is Squire? Where is it? Because I come from the Base world. It's like, what's going on? And then you start dabbling in, you're like starting to see the builders come on the chain. What do you attribute the success to your community? Because you have a very rabid community and a good culture you're building. What, in your personal opinion, is the reason you are being able to establish such a culture behind your coin?
Yeah, I mean, establishing a culture starts on day one. And so I was very honest and upfront from the get-go. This is not a meme coin. I don't want talking about prices. I don't want, hyper masculine, swears going on in my Discord channels, my Telegram channels. Like, this is a professional organization. I'm going to run myself professionally. I'm going to be open and transparent about it. This is not a meme coin. I don't want other people treating it like a meme coin. I'm going to actively avoid hype in everything I do. I run my operation hype free. I don't talk about things that aren't in the works. I don't speculate. I don't I don't go and try to engage in FUD wars with other competing products. I feel like there's enough of there's enough money around that we can all build and grow. I think the builders in this space have a really interesting vision. Inference capital markets, a term I coined, a month and a half ago, has just taken off. We see a lot of good products being built, both on Solana and on Base. And I've gone out of my way not to engage in any hostilities back and forth with them. If anything, partnerships with all of the compute tokens that are out there is the way that I've tried to help handle myself. And I feel like that's just been the winning recipe right now. Handle yourself professionally, insist that your community handles themselves professionally as well. And, show up day after day, do the work, ship the code, and show them that you're not going to FUD. I feel like if you step back and look at the people that are trenchers that are buying tokens, they're running through the listings on Bird Eye, or buying whatever pops up on the top of the Phantom wallet. There's a lot of PTSD kicking around, especially with the ones that have been around for a year, 2 years, 5 years. They've been burned, they've been rugged time and time again. And so part of the success that I've had is just from being here, showing up, doing the work, talking about it openly, being transparent, answering the questions that come up, and really just proving to the community that I'm not rugging them. I'm here for the long haul, and I've got some great products that I think I can build.
Yeah, I think people are no longer wanting to feel that if they invest in something that they can get rugged the next day.
Yeah.
Meme coin culture, you just really don't know. I think there's something to be said for a founder who's doxxed and who's out there publicly. And you start to see, a lot of the tech projects is kind of like a requirement now. Like projects like you, even Misha, he's not doxxed, but he's out there. And so BV7X, I'm a fan of them. Easy A Kickstart, they might not be doxxed, but they're out there putting their voices. They have LinkedIn profiles maybe. And I think that trenchers on Solana find that refreshing, because at the end of the day, they want to feel that they can make asymmetric returns. This is just my thinking. I don't know, but I think I'm right. Asymmetric returns, but they want to have a little bit more sense of peace of mind, right? Knowing that they're investing in a utility project that's here for the long reasons, not just some random 18-year-old kid. And I think projects like yours are kind of paving the way. Do you feel any pressure personally? Because I do feel you're a pioneer in the Solana ecosystem. Do you feel any pressure to kind of showcase what's possible as a real utility builder in inference capital markets on Solana, paving the way for others to follow?
Yeah, every day. But it's pressure, but it's pressure in a way that brings me to the table and brings out the best in the work that I'm doing. What I want to build is a tool that helps enable other developers to build AI tools. And we're starting to see that. Just in the past couple of weeks, I've had 10, 12 projects that have come up and said, just reached out. Hey, I built this thing. I used UsePod under the hood. I'm delivering, X number of agents to my users seamlessly. It's a zero-click, zero-friction interface for them. Just thank you. And so those are the things that I love to see. I love to see projects like Claw Hunter, like HiveMind OS, like Alpharina, like Cowsolaire, like just coming out of the woodwork saying, I've got this interesting use case for agentic AI. I see cheap inference that I can pass along those cost savings to my users. It makes a business model that wouldn't work with Anthropic, wouldn't work with OpenAI, immediately profitable, because I can get access to inference for, in some cases, 97% cheaper. And so, yeah, it's just, situations like that really brighten up my day, and it's the reason that I come to work every day.
Absolutely. A few more questions before we have to wrap things up. What are some of the things that you can tell us that you have in the roadmap? What are some of the things that maybe the Squire holders can look forward to?
Yeah. So as I said, I run my business pretty hype free. So I don't talk about things that aren't 100% certain, ready in the wing to launch. What I can talk about is two major roadmap items. The first is building out rollout rails for Base. Base is where a large number of users are. There's a big AI community there, and so payment rails on Base is an important thing. As I said, I'm working with the BV7X developers primarily to fuel their use case, but also to deliver one more option for users who want to use UsePod to get cheap inference. And so what that looks like is, right now we accept Stripe, we accept credit cards, we accept Sol and USDC on Base or on Solana. We're going to start accepting USDC on Base through X402, through deposit upfront prepayments, and that'll enable an entire extra ecosystem of AI compute where there wasn't. The second thing, anybody who's followed me for a while will know, my big long-term vision is not just a marketplace for AI inference. It's a marketplace for AI compute. And so the long-term vision for UsePod and whatever this Squire ecosystem will become is for it to be an option on AI compute as a category, right? If you think about inference is just one side of the equation. It's just, I have a model, let me exercise that model, let me ask a question and get something done. Whereas the other side of that is training a model. And this is the side that I think right now there isn't a marketplace for, and there isn't a really good use case for it. So as I'm building out inference capital markets, I'm also looking down the road. How do I structure a product such that people who want to train models, who want to build fine-tunes, who want to take custom data sets and integrate them with open source or open weight models, how do I build a system that allows them to hedge their exposure to AI compute, acquire a contract to get access to speculative compute or future compute, build a futures market for large organizations that know that they're going to have a massive training workload that's going to take months in 2027 and not before, right? How do I build a product that allows UsePod to grow into the broader AI compute market? And so that's what I'm focused on as the long-term vision for UsePod.
Man, well, I could just say that I assume many people are going to find that very refreshing to know that you have plans and a long-term vision at scale, because at the end of the day, a project's only as good as the team, the developer behind it. If the developer isn't passionate about it, if the developer isn't fully committed, why should anyone really care, right? And so I think hearing what you're saying, and I know and last question to you also, because I'm genuinely curious, one of the things that I find admirable about you is you're putting yourself out there, you're obviously passionate, but you're also making the media rounds. Why is, in your opinion, why do you put so much emphasis on putting yourself out there on my show, MCG Live, doing other things? What is it about getting on camera so important to you in your mission of explaining what Squire is?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what inference is. Like, I can say AI inference, I can say two-sided marketplace for AI compute. It's going to go over a lot of people's heads. If you get up in front of somebody and say, "Oh yeah, this is the thing that runs your ChatGPT interface," or "This is the thing that runs Claude," right? That's a lot easier to get your head around. And so from that side, it's a communication tool. A lot of people, they just want to, scroll through a video at 1.25 or 1.5x, get the high notes, and then not read a single thing. So from that side, it's a different media experience. But the other side of it is that PTSD, right?
Yeah.
I get up here, I put my face on camera. I don't really like to get on camera, but I do it because it helps people see that I'm a person, that I'm working for them. And like you said, I'm doxxed. Here I am. I'm going to get up. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to let interviewers ask the important questions, ask the hard questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them every time.
I love it, Chris. I love it. Listen, I think the future is bright for you. I want, feel free to always use me as a resource, because my goal is to highlight builders like you, builders who are absolutely here for the right reasons, who are going to be big. At least I think you're going to be big. And because that's what the space needs. So, any last words? We have 3,600 people tuning in live late on base. Chris Gilbert from Squire. Any last words you have for the community?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got an idea and you want to build, you should get out there and do it. There's nothing stopping you right now. With the advent of agentic tooling, with the advent of Claude and Codex, there's really no reason why you can't take your idea and turn it into a product. There's no reason why you can't take that product and launch it into a marketplace, launch it into a user base, turn yourself into an entrepreneur. And if you're thinking about doing those things, don't hesitate. Reach out. I am happy to help you out as much as possible in any way I can. Whether that's giving you some pointers, giving you some starter credits to get on your way. Just get out there and build that thing.
Chris, my friend, we'll make sure we have a few clips made from this stream. We'll tag you and send it to your community. It's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Chris Gilbert from Squire. What a jam-packed episode. These were some amazing builders. We got the Easy A Kickstarter founders. We got Chris, one of the hottest inference projects, maybe the hottest inference project on Solana. And quote unquote, this episode is brought to you by the Black Bull, which is bullish. If you guys know Ansem, let him know, dude. Sponsor the show, baby. I'm gonna actually just try to get his attention, because I feel it makes a lot of sense getting on my show, featured, all these communities get to know who you are. I don't know, pretty bullish. So if you are a member of the Ansem Holding family, hook up your boy, baby. Hook up your boy. All right, guys, 3,600 people tuned in today. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new to the show, we're live Monday through Thursday, noon PST, typically a little bit later, but we're on Monday through Thursday, talking to the best and brightest founders, leaders, builders in this space across every chain. All right, guys, until next time, your boy Bill's out. Peace.